So this is a rather difficult video to make, not really because the subject matter itself is difficult to talk about. What's really difficult is trying to figure out what is the most important thing to talk about and what's the most important thing to focus on. Because I actually already recorded this video and it was like 30 minutes long and I was like, I can't upload that. So I'm going to separate it into two individual parts. So the first part is just going to be me talking about my experiences uh with race and how I don't I don't really see color. I don't really see race. We're gonna talk about that. So I'm pretty sure everyone has heard the term before, right? I don't see color or I don't see race. And basically what the idiom is just trying to suggest or describe is that people don't really care too much about your racial ethnicity. What's more important to them is your character and who you really are as a person, right? Of course, this is a little ridiculous. Because of course we all see color. Of course we all see race. I don't really even just mean that like literally, as in like, you know, literally we see with our eyeballs, but like I mean in terms of like culturally and understanding like the differences between how we are as people and who we are as people. I'll be frank, if I was born a Mexican person, I would probably be a totally different person, right? Because the experiences I had in life would be influenced by that. I mean, if I was born in Guatemala, obviously, because the culture would be different, the people I'd be around would be different. I mean, but that's a little obvious, right? That's a little duh kind of, observation to be made. But I do get the sentiment, and I think the sentiment is good, and it's also something that I just always kind of did naturally, and something I still mostly do even to this day, and that is I don't really see race as anything more than like the phenotypical attributes and it's a person's character that is far more important to me. So you'll probably be asking why? Why are you not racist? Why are you not prejudiced against, people of other races, sirs? What makes you different? Why do you not have these heuristics and this disdain for people phenotypically or even mentally? As in, like, why are you not like a race realist? Why are you a race denialist? Well, here's the thing. I don't deny that there are clearly physiological differences that occur between human beings based on the environment of which they evolved in over time. Like, that's obvious. There's no real denying that. But because I think there's more to humanity than just our our animalistic nature and the pressures of nature itself and natural selection and evolution. I believe, obviously, being a Christian, that we have a spirit and we have a soul, that we're three-part beings, that we're more than just our physical bodies. So that's just me. So I mean, with the understanding, if you're an atheist and that hurts your feelings, well then your feelings are just gonna have to be hurt, and you can unsubscribe, and I will see you later. So moving on to the people who can accept the fact that I feel differently about humanity than simply our skin colors and the way we look. There's also my entire life experience too, and that's what the main bulk of this video is going to be. It's going to be me kind of going through my thought processes on race up to this point where I am now, to explain why I don't really care, why I don't really think too much about race and racism and all of that. Which isn't me saying that like I don't think racism like is gone. I'm sure there's still lots of racist people, whether they be subtle or outspoken, but more so why I just don't really think too much about it. So let's rewind the clock all the way back to when I was I guess 5. I don't really have the greatest memory of when I was 5, but I remember like playing around with like mostly other black kids, and like it was never really a thing. And there were some white kids that I would meet every now and again. And this is back in the like apartment complex. We were like 5 all the way up to like I guess 8. Because when I remember when I was 8 is when we moved into the neighborhood that I mostly grew up in. I was mostly around like black kids and mostly around white kids. And then we went to school. School was just filled with everyone. I had friends. I had my best good friend when I was a kid. His last name was Sanchez, so I will assume he was Hispanic, but I didn't know and I didn't care. Like, it wasn't even a thought in my mind. I only recognize this now being an adult looking back on his last name being Sanchez, right? it wasn't a thing. Like I didn't care. There was another kid. He's probably Italian. I don't know. I only speculate now because I'm an adult looking back. And then there's this girl, and she was white. And we had this little friend group. We were this little pack, right? And we were just all just different kids, and we just had a grand old time, you know. Like we would play, Yu Yu Hakusho, man. Like we would play Dragon Ball Z and Digimon and Tag and all that. Like we had a grand old time as kids, right? Like it wasn't no prejudice or anything like that. And of course, I got bullied. And if you've been on my channel for a while, I've had numerous foes and adversaries, and we'll talk about those foes and adversaries as this video goes on because it is important. But I mean, I got made fun of, by just kids in general. But like the thing is, it was never because I was black. It's mostly because I had big ears. It's just because I look weird. But it was other black kids that were making fun of me, right? It mostly. I've actually very seldom, like at that age, I don't remember any white kids ever giving me a problem at all. Like when I was at that school, it was mostly like black kids on the bus, like almost entirely to my recollection. So fast forward, I'm 8. I move into a neighborhood, and this neighborhood is pretty multicultural, like, quote unquote multicultural, as in like not actually multicultural, but filled with different people of like different races, and we all would just like see each other and hang out. Um, Mostly it was pretty. It's hard to even get demographics because you had black kids there, you had white kids, you had a couple of Asians, we just all different types of people of different races, right? There's this one girl I went to elementary school with all the way up. We kind of no, and middle school and high school. Yeah, we pretty much, yeah. Now that I think about it, anyhow, my point is, like the kids that I kind of like, we straight up grew up with these kids. Well, I grew up with these kids. We grew up together, and race was like never even a thing. Again, I've never encountered any problem with my race, and I've met so many different people of different races, and I've never had any problem with them. I never even thought about it or considered it. Most of my foes, most of the times, most of my adversaries, honestly, it kind of sucks to say, and I know it's in theme with my channel, and I'm sorry, but a lot of conflicts I had with guys kind of did stem from girls, which ashamed to say. Um, but yeah, a lot of the drama, a lot of the issues I really had with people, some of it was because of girls. In fact, my one of my best friends, he was a black guy. We stopped being friends. The catalyst for that was a lot of things. It was death by 1,000 cuts, but when it at the end, it broke because of a girl, and it was a white woman, of course, because of course it was, because I hate white. No, I'm joking. But if I will be frank though, I've had multiple different people I didn't like. There's this one guy I didn't like. He was a black guy. I didn't like him because he was black. I didn't like how cocky he was. He's very arrogant. He made fun of me a lot. He's kind of just overall dickhead. But then there's another guy, and this is back when I was playing lacrosse. And I'll never forget this guy because I looked up to him. Right at first, he was but a role model to me. He was what I could. He was what I wanted to be. He was a senior, and for some reason, I'm not really even sure like what it was between us or what started it, but he just started making fun of me. He kind of betrayed my expectations of him, and he went from being a role model to an enemy of mine. And there's more stories to be told with me and my foe there, and then his girlfriend, once again a white woman. And then me, him, and her got into a couple of spats on Facebook. It was a whole mess. I'll talk about some other time. But the core of all of this is to say that I've had enemies who were white. I've had enemies who were black. There's another kid. I told the story on my channel once before. Well, I remember, it's back in like in the 9th grade. There's this kid in my, what was it, algebra? And he would always call me out. He would say, "Hey, Zers, you ugly as F word." Because we gotta be advertiser friendly. We can't use profanity anymore because YouTube sucks. But he said you're ugly as he said you're ugly, right? Ugly as F word. And it didn't bother me. I didn't care because I thought it was kind of gay. Like it was like I was really uncomfortable. Like it was weird to me that like he even cared that I was ugly. It was like I didn't care. I wasn't bothered. But I remember one day I called him out and I was like, "Why do you keep on saying this to me, dude? What is up with you?" He got upset with me because I called him out, right? And so I remember seeing out the corner of my eye he was pacing back and forth while his friend was like, "Nah, nah, man, don't fight him." And he replies, "Nah, man, I'm about to beat this." Once again, I can't use expletives because then my video would be advertiser friendly. Man, he said, "No, I'm about to go and engage in fisticuffs with this young gentleman." um, so hearing this, I saw red. Honestly, I was offended at the fact that he would honestly wish to fight me because he was the one being mean to me, and I asked him why he was being mean to me, and thus I stood up, I took off my glasses and my sweatshirt, and I went to go just straight punch him in his face. I wasn't even gonna go argue with him. I was just gonna you know, give him the old 1-2 buckle my shoe. But then my friend, who was a black lady by the way, places her hand on me and she says, "Don't fight. It's like it's not worth it." And because I respected her, I said, "Yeah, you're right." I went back to my seat. But man, it's a really good thing I didn't fight. Young men in the audience, I will say, yeah, don't fight if you don't have to. You should always have the skills and the knowledge on how to fight and how to escape bad situations. But you should never look for them and you should never engage. As martial artists, you learn how to fight in hopes you don't have to. So maybe that might help out a young man out in the audience. Maybe not, but I'm just going to say that anyway. So, moving forward, the point is, I was a black guy. It's a black guy. The truth of the matter is, when it comes to like race and the reason why I don't put much stock on race is because as much as I just explained, enemies I've had, right? One of my best friends, even now, is a white person. One of my closest friends growing up, he was a black guy from Ghana. Well, him and his brother, both of them, wonderful people. I mean, one of them was lazy, smart as hell, but lazy. The other one was just the nicest guy you probably could ever did meet. He was the best of us. He was really good. There's another guy I knew. He unfortunately committed suicide. But he was a great guy. He was black. But the guy who was my closest friend, before we stopped being friends and split up because, well, at the apex it was because of a girl, but it was a long time coming. He was black too. So like the thing is, I've had good experiences with black people and bad experiences with black people. So like it would be impossible to create a heuristic that black people are bad when I'm faced with the reality that some of them are wonderful and that I myself am black, right? In the same way that I can't have a heuristic that white people are bad because some of the best people I've met have been white. But some of the worst people I've met have been white. So when it comes down to it, it's not the skin color, it's not even the culture, it's the character, it's who these people are that I've always butted heads with, right? That's where most of my enemies were formed from. And the people who've really caused me the greatest amount of mental and emotional anguish have actually been white women. So, which is only kind of, I'm actually not joking. I'm not joking, but don't take that too seriously. I don't actually hate white women. I'm just saying they kind of suck. So moving on. Okay, I'm kidding, but I'm not joking about the fact that like, really, in all honesty, like if I've really had to count like who I've mostly had, like the most issues I've had between people, I mean it's been white women, right? It's not really, and even then, it's not really because, well, there are certain patterns and behaviors that white women have. Like, let's be real. But the only time like being black has ever really been like a barrier to me, has been when I've been trying to date. Oh, well, there you go, white women. Well, no, not even. But see, that's the thing, because it's actually not even. That's not even true. There was this one mixed girl I tried to date. And she just wasn't really into black. No, most of the time, all the black girls that I've ever been interested in have all been kind of like, in like kind of like seen, kind of like, like in the anime and that kind of thing. They kind of dip off in that kind of personality tree. Um, but they are mostly attracted to white guys, right? So like I got nothing there. Um, and I'm not like the tall, dark skinned black guy that like the white women cream over. So I'm just light skinned, kind of meh. So like I don't really get any of those style points for being black. Like I'm not really super attractive in general. So I don't get anything for that. I don't get plus 15 charisma. But again, mostly I haven't really had very many issues or very many problems because of my race. You know, I think every now and again I've encountered some jerk off somewhere, but I can't really say that like most of the enemies I've had have been more either ideological or over some stupid girl that doesn't even matter anymore. Which I mean, like, look at how life turns out. You know what I mean? But that's why, I guess, in conclusion, viewer, I can't really say like I see race or like, and I understand there are differences. Like there are always cultural differences between races of people, right? But I like the differences of people. I like the fact that people are different. It's interesting. You learn more about people. You see different things about people. So I personally am totally fine with people being different. So I love it. It's not bad to me. It's great. It's wonderful. I love it. But the thing is, like, it's just never been an issue for me. And I recognize that some people have encountered racist individuals, but I don't think I have. Like the closest I came to someone that was racist was on Facebook, just over something stupid. Um, I just haven't had like these huge racist situations or racist problems or like dealing with people who were just prejudiced against me. You know what I mean? Um, Mostly I got made fun of by other black people. Um, Mostly I've had some of my worst enemies have been white people. Some of my best friends have been white people. Never had an issue with a Mexican though. Never had a problem with an Asian person. It's weird. But I mean, I probably could if I was like in China. The point is, in conclusion, it's character that I've oftentimes have felt has been like the greatest barrier between like me and someone else. It's never really race. It's never ever really been a thing. And that's why I don't see race. I don't see color. I've had great experiences with people of all different colors, all different shapes, all different sizes. It's who that person is at the end of the day that really leaned me towards being friends with them or considering them to be a foe I must battle in a children's card game to make sure my soul does not get trapped in the shadow realm. Okay, so that being said, I certainly hope you guys got something out of today's video, and if you did, man, go and click the like button. You should go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below, and as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon.